Welcome aboard, story lovers. Before we set sail on tonight's tale, tell me where you're watching from in the comments. In the glow of your screens, imagine crystal chandeliers and rolling waves, because tonight's drama spills over the deck of a billionaire's yacht. If you love scandal and slow burn romance, hit like and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories afloat. Ready to lose yourself in high tides and higher stakes. The ropes are cast, the anchors away, midnight draped the Mediterranean like black velvet. Lanterns flickered along the polished teak deck of the Sovereign Dawn, the world's most exclusive superyacht. Beneath a canopy of stars, guests in designer gowns and tailored tuxedos sipped Dom Perignon as a string quartet wove moonlit melodies. The sea breathed gentle lullabies against the hull, rocking the vessel with hypnotic grace. At the stern, a marble-topped bar glowed ivory. At the bow, cushioned lounges invited whispered confidences. Every detail bespoke wealth so vast it felt mythic, yet tonight, even legend would shatter. A muted breeze carried salt and jasmine. Above, crystal lights reflected in perfectly still water, as if the ocean itself were an audience, holding its breath. On the horizon, distant lights of coastal villas winked secrets. It was the sort of setting poets envy, until fate intervened. What hidden currents swirl beneath this glittering surface? Marina Holt was born in a cramped studio apartment above her family's failing flower shop in Brighton. The peeling wallpaper was once floral, now it curled at the corners like tired petals. As a child, she memorized every blossom's name, tracing fingerprints across dusty glass vases. Each bud whispered hope. Tomorrow's bouquet could revive her parents' dreams. By day, Marina arranged daisies and roses. By night, she studied horticulture in borrowed textbooks. Her lamp's weak glow often flickered out, but she never complained. She learned that beauty demanded sacrifice, the same lesson etched in the calluses on her fingertips. Every morning at dawn, she bicycled to the market square with a basket of blooms, bright against gray cobblestones. She greeted old Mrs. Bennet with shy smiles and offered free posies to cafe owners. The small kindnesses rippled outward. Soon, local vendors knew Marina's name and her shop's fragile promise. Yet beneath her gentle exterior burned fierce ambition. Marina dreamed of forging a sustainable floral empire, one that honored every stem's life. She sketched plans for vertical gardens and urban greenhouses on scrap paper. On weekends, she volunteered at a community garden, teaching children to plant seeds and nurture growth. In college, a scholarship whisked Marina to London's Royal Botanic Academy. The city's grandeur dazzled her. Marble columns, gilded gates, marble-floored conservatories filled with orchids. But she felt out of place among peers born into privilege. Late nights, she studied beside roaring fireplaces in the student lounge, her headphones insulating her from whispered doubts. A chance internship introduced Marina to eco-design. She collaborated with architects to weave living walls into skyscrapers, bringing nature back to concrete jungles. She poured her heart into every project, sketching vine patterns that danced across glass facades. Her professors praised her vision, but warned, "Business is ruthless, Marina. Don't let your heart wilt." After graduation, offers flooded in, from luxury hotels to celebrity event planners. Marina chose a boutique consultancy that championed social impact. She negotiated fiercely for fair wages for flower farmers. She refused projects that wasted water or exploited labor. Her reputation grew. Clients admired her integrity, but some called her naive. At 28, Marina launched Bloomright, a floral design studio with a conscience. She leased a sunlit loft in Shoreditch, hung mason jar terrariums from exposed beams, and recruited a small team who shared her dream. Week after week, orders poured in. Weddings draped in wisteria, gala centerpieces blooming like coral under floodlights. Bloomright blossomed, but success carried its own thorns. One rainy evening, Marina found a letter slipped under her door, a demand from a powerful conglomerate accusing her of trademark infringement. The paperwork arrived with a terse warning: settle or face bankruptcy. The conglomerate's lawyers never revealed their source, but Marina recognized their name: Drake Holdings, owned by Alexander Drake. Marina's stomach clenched. She'd crossed paths once with the famed billionaire CEO when he commissioned a floral canopy for his sister's wedding. He'd barely nodded at her introduction, his eyes distant, haunted. His empire spanned shipping, real estate, even deep-sea exploration. Rumor said he'd grown up at sea, the ocean his only childhood companion. The legal threat loomed like a storm cloud. Marina poured herself another cup of chamomile tea in her loft kitchen, pacing past rain-spattered windows. She replayed every conversation with Drake Holdings' representative. Had she unknowingly infringed on a corporate logo? Or was this a power play to force her out? Her team watched anxiously as Marina drafted a response. Late into the night, she researched trademark law, conferring with pro bono attorneys. She refused to cower, determined to defend Bloomright's name. Each page she read strengthened her resolve. She would not let a faceless conglomerate drown her dreams. When the deadline arrived, Marina stood before a courtroom clerk with trembling fingers, filing her countersuit for malicious prosecution. The clerk glanced at the lawsuit's hefty pages. Marina met his gaze steadily. In that moment, she felt both the weight of her livelihood and the freedom of standing up for herself. Word spread through London's design circles. Some peers admired her bravery, others worried she'd anger the wrong person. Meanwhile, Drake Holdings remained silent, a shadowed fortress. Marina sometimes caught herself staring at the sea, imagining Alexander Drake aboard his yacht, untouchable, aloof, and yet connected to the same water she loved. As the legal battle loomed, Marina refused to let her work falter. She overhauled Bloomright's website, showcasing eco-friendly installations that climbed glass skyscrapers like living art. She fostered partnerships with fair trade flower co-ops in Ethiopia, sharing her profits to uplift communities. Still, sleepless nights returned. She dreamt of dark waves swallowing her loft, of flowers shriveling into ash. But at dawn, she pressed on, clipping stems, sketching new designs, and whispering promises to every bloom. "I will protect you." Marina's backstory was a tapestry of hope, hardship, and unwavering conviction. Yet as her story progressed, the line between dream and nightmare blurred. The sea called to her, and so did the distant silhouette of a yacht slicing through the horizon. What fate awaits Bloomright when the ocean-weary CEO finally decides to speak? What would you do in Marina's shoes? Comment below. Moonlight shimmered on the Sovereign Dawn's polished mahogany deck as Marina stepped aboard, clutching a portfolio of eco-design proposals. She'd been invited to present her vertical garden concept to Alexander Drake himself, a chance to turn her countersuit into collaboration. Across the deck, the captain's dinner was in full swing. Long tables draped in ivory linen, candles flickering in crystal holders. Guests murmured over oysters and caviar, champagne flutes poised like translucent sentinels. A quartet's strings sang of aristocratic grace. Marina inhaled the briny air, her heart drumming against her ribs. She'd rehearsed her pitch 1,000 times, smoothing each phrase. But beneath her confidence, doubt rippled. Would the ocean-weary CEO even notice her? A uniformed steward guided her toward the bow, where Alexander Drake sat among his board of directors. The CEO's tailored tuxedo complemented his storm-gray hair. His gaze seemed fixed on some distant horizon. Marina paused, steadying her shaking hands. Just then, a commotion erupted behind her. Laughter shattered as a waiter tripped over a stray coil of rope. In slow motion, Marina watched a silver tray arc through the air, its clutch of champagne flutes glinting like fragile icicles. "Watch out!" someone shouted, but the warning died in Marina's throat. The tray crashed against the deck with a deafening chime. Crystal shattered, and vintage bubbly sprayed across polished wood. A shockwave rippled through the gathering, freezing voices mid-sentence. Marina, rooted in place, stared as golden liquid arced toward Alexander Drake. Time slowed further, the bubbles catching the candlelight, drifting like ephemeral stars before colliding with his pristine tuxedo. Gasps rose in a collective crescendo. Champagne pooled at Drake's feet, running toward the ship's rail. He sat motionless, face unreadable beneath shock and indignation. Marina's pulse thundered. She'd never caused such spectacle, never humiliated herself in front of high society. Her cheeks burned as dozens of eyes turned toward her trembling silhouette. Stewards rushed forward, gathering broken glass. A lieutenant commander barked orders, but Marina's gaze remained fixed on Drake's expression, a mix of astonishment and cold amusement. Stifling tears, Marina murmured, "I'm so sorry." Her voice was swallowed by the yacht's hull. Drake finally rose, each movement deliberate. The deck seemed to tilt beneath Marina's feet. She expected fury, an order to be thrown overboard. Instead, Drake reached out a hand gloved, steady toward a fallen flute. With his fingertips, he lifted it and examined the crack. Then he locked eyes with Marina. A hush fell. Had the CEO's shoulders slumped in weary resignation? Or was this the calm before a storm? "Miss Holt," Drake intoned, voice soft yet precise. "Accidents happen." Relief and mortification warred inside Marina. She exhaled, her legs nearly giving way. A nearby guest smothered a snort behind a silk napkin. Drake stepped closer, surprising everyone. He offered his jacket to shield her from prying eyes. The gesture was courteous, almost chivalrous, a lifeline in a sea of judgment. Marina's breath caught. The scent of his cologne, cedarwood and salt, drifted over her. She fought the urge to flinch or embrace him. "Come with me," Drake said, inclining his head toward a secluded alcove at the bow. "We should discuss this privately." Whispers fluttered through the crowd. Cameras clicked. Marina allowed Drake to guide her away from the shattered scene, her portfolio slipping from her grasp. In the alcove's soft lantern light, Drake closed the distance. His earlier detachment softened, revealing faint lines of exhaustion beneath his eyes. He studied Marina's trembling fingers. "I'm not angry," he confessed, voice low enough only she could hear. "But you owe me an explanation, and perhaps a new suit." Marina hurtled into apology, words tumbling over one another. She retrieved her portfolio, hands still shaking, and offered her business card. Drake glanced at it. "Eco-design consultant," he read. "Impressive resume." A flush warmed Marina's neck. "I thank you," she whispered. Around them, the captain's dinner resumed, but the air had shifted. The glittering party felt suddenly hollow, a stage for something far more compelling. Drake leaned in, eyes unreadable. "Let's talk tomorrow, after you've had a moment to collect yourself." Marina nodded, her mind reeling. As she followed him back toward the main deck, she caught sight of her reflection in a window. A woman who'd crashed a billionaire's party and lived to see another day. But what price would she pay for this private audience? What would you do in Marina's shoes? Comment below. Marina retreated to her cabin, the door clicking shut behind her like a verdict. Her reflection in the polished brass porthole looked foreign, eyes wide, lashes damp. The scent of cedarwood lingered on her skin, mingling with salt and shame. She sank onto the edge of the berth, fingers still trembling. Every syllable of apology replayed in her mind, each one carrying more weight than the crushed crystal. Guilt coiled sharper than sea spray against the hull. In the dim glow, her phone buzzed. A message from Emma, her best friend and studio co-founder. "How are you holding up?" Two simple sentences, brimming with unwavering support. Marina exhaled, grateful for a lifeline. Memories flickered, Emma laughing amid pastel petals, late-night strategy sessions amid spilled coffee. When Marina's world felt like a storm, Emma's voice was the calm. She tapped back. "I'll explain everything. Meet me at the lounge in 10. Marina rose, smoothing her threadbare blazer. She paused before the cabinet where her lawsuit files waited, unopened. Tonight, she needed solace, not strategy. With each step toward the lounge, her heart hammered a frantic rhythm. In the corridor, hushed whispers trailed behind her. A steward offered a sympathetic nod. Another averted his gaze. The yacht's opulence felt suddenly oppressive, a gilded cage echoing with curious stares. Emma found her by the library's French doors, where the moonlight painted latticed shadows on the carpet. She pulled Marina into a tight embrace. "You okay?" she whispered, voice thick. Marina let tears slip free. "I embarrassed myself before the world." Emma guided her to a plush settee. "Yes, but you also earned a private audience with Alexander Drake. That's no small feat." Marina bit her lip. "He'll never take me seriously after this." Emma's gaze sharpened. "He already did. Look at the way he escorted you away, not to punish but to talk. You saw the exhaustion in his eyes. He's as tired of shallow pleasantries as you are." Marina frowned. How do you know? Because you're both visionaries trapped by expectations. He respects that fight in you. Emma reached into her bag and produced 2 glasses of sparkling water. Drink this. Tomorrow you'll pitch like the brilliant strategist you are. Marina studied the glass, then lifted it with a shaky hand. Each sip cooled her racing thoughts. The library's hush felt safe, a bubble apart from the night's spectacle. Outside, the yacht sliced through dark water, heading toward hidden harbors. Inside, Marina's resolve began to reform, stronger than shattered glass. Emma placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Rest now. Dawn brings a new tide. Marina offered a small, determined smile. Thank you. But as she lay down, her mind buzzed with questions. What would Alexander Drake truly want to discuss? And could she turn this disaster into her greatest opportunity? What would you do in Marina's shoes? Comment below. At dawn, Marina returned to the bow, clutching her portfolio like a lifeline. The sky bled rose and gold across the horizon. Her breath steadied with each wave's lullaby. Alexander Drake appeared without ceremony, a silhouette against sunrise. His jacket slung over one shoulder, he offered a curt nod. Miss Holt, he said, shall we? They settled at a lacquered table set for 2, abandoned by last night's revelers. Drake unfolded her proposal, his eyes scanning each page with measured interest. Marina held her breath, heart pounding like a ship's engine. Moments passed in silence before Drake spoke. Your vertical garden concept, he began, voice low, could transform our coastal properties, but I'm concerned about maintenance costs. Marina pressed a fingertip to the page. I've partnered with algae-based irrigation systems, self-sustaining and energy-neutral. It's cutting-edge and cost-effective. Drake's eyes flickered surprise, perhaps respect. He tapped a fountain pen on the wood. Impressive, but there's more. He stood and motioned toward the yacht's rail. Below, a massive cargo hold bristled with crates stamped Drake Marine. Marina followed, curiosity eclipsing nerves. In the hold, rows of coral white planters lined steel racks. Between them, delicate vines curled upward under LED grow lights. I initiated a trial last month, Drake revealed. Anonymous. I wanted to see if your design could thrive at sea. Marina's pulse surged. You tested my work without telling me? Drake stepped closer, the soft hum of equipment humming between them. I needed proof beyond promises. These seedlings are flourishing. They survived salt spray and storms. They owe their lives to your formula. A rush of vindication warmed Marina's cheeks. They look remarkable. Drake's gaze softened, revealing tired vulnerability. I trust results, and I trust you, Marina. Her chest tightened. This was no perfunctory deal. He'd risked resources on her vision. A rare gesture from a man who guarded his trust like treasure. Drake extended his hand. Join me as lead designer. Let's revolutionize ocean-side living together. Marina inhaled, the scent of fresh growth and salt filling her senses. An unexpected alliance formed in that steel-bright hold. Could this partnership bloom into something more than business? What would you do in Marina's shoes? Comment below. Within hours of their clandestine meeting, news of Drake Marine's mysterious new green initiative leaked to gossip columns. By midday, Bloomberg reporters hovered on the Sovereign Dawn's dock, hungry for details on the partnership. Marina stood at the rail, watching cameras flash like lightning. A knot of anxiety coiled in her stomach. She hadn't authorized any statements. Drake's trial was meant to be private. Below deck, Alexander Drake convened his executive team in the glass-walled conference room. His icy matriarch, Vivienne Drake, arrived via video link, perfectly coiffed, diamond-braced, wrists crossed. Alexander, she began, voice cool as marble, you're diluting our core brand with this eco-experiment. Drake's jaw tightened. Mother, sustainability is our future. Bloomright's design will increase property value and public goodwill. Vivienne's lips curved into a disdainful smile. Public goodwill won't pay dividends. Our investors expect quarterly growth, not charity. A buzz of disapproval rippled through the boardroom. One director cleared his throat. Shall we postpone the launch until we resolve the legal ambiguity with Miss Holt's countersuit? Marina, summoned for the call, watched their screens. Their thinly veiled skepticism felt like ice against her skin, yet Drake defended her fiercely. Her countersuit proves malicious intent by Drake Holdings' former counsel. This storm will pass. Vivienne droned on about brand dilution, while reporters pressed for comment outside. One cameraman shouted, "Miss Holt, did you really trip on purpose to get hired?" Laughter cracked from the crowd. Marina's cheeks flamed. She stepped forward, voice steady though her heart pounded. "No, my mistake was genuine, but so is my passion for these gardens." The line went silent. Board members exchanged surprised glances. Vivienne's eyes narrowed. "We'll see if your passion pays off on the balance sheet." After the call disbanded, Drake looked at Marina, concern and something fiercer in his eyes. "I'll protect you from them," he promised, but the tremor in his voice betrayed doubt. Outside, a tabloid headline caught Marina's eye. "Flower Girl tries to hijack Billionaire's empire." A scathing illustration painted her as an opportunist. Emma's text buzzed in. "They're attacking your integrity. Want me to draft a statement?" Marina hesitated. Every word risked stoking the fire or dousing it. She closed her eyes, listening to the yacht's engines humming, the ocean's vast stillness beyond. She tapped out. "Yes. Let's spin the narrative toward sustainability and shared vision." As the sun dipped toward the horizon, gold spilled across the sea. Yet beneath that shimmer churned uncertainty. Could Marina and Drake weather these power plays, both in the boardroom and the tabloids, to anchor their alliance? What would you do in Marina's shoes? Comment below. Late that night, the Sovereign Dawn drifted off Cortina's coast. Lantern light spilled through a porthole into a secluded lounge, where Marina added water to a small terrarium she'd smuggled aboard. Tiny ferns curled amid moss, a private bloom in the sea's vast expanse. Drake entered quietly, shedding his blazer. He paused at her side, watching her fingers coax life from each sprig. "You create beauty in unlikely places," he observed. Marina offered him a watering can. "Your cargo hold proved it, life will adapt." He knelt beside her, adjusting a thirsty leaf. "I've come to appreciate resilience." His voice dropped to a whisper. "Including yours." Their shoulders brushed. Above them, the yacht's engines hummed a lullaby. Marina felt warmth bloom in her chest as Drake's gaze held hers. He stood and produced 2 mugs of chamomile tea, steam curling between them. "For sleepy heads," he teased. They sipped in companionable silence, the steam and salt weaving their worlds together. Marina dared to glance up. "Thank you for trusting me." Drake's smile was soft, almost shy. "Trust is rare on these waters." Soft piano drifted from the salon. Drake held out his hand. "Dance with me." Marina tucked a stray hair behind her ear and accepted. They moved slowly across the plush carpet, bodies swaying like sail in wind. No words, only the steady pulse of their hearts. As the last note faded, Drake paused. "There's something I want to show you." He offered his arm. She slipped her hand into his. Together, they stepped into the night air, leaving the terrarium's glow behind. What secret corner of the yacht awaits them under starlight? What would you do in Marina's shoes? Comment below. The next morning, Drake guided Marina through a hidden hatch to the yacht's helipad. Below, the Mediterranean glittered like scattered diamonds. A yellow and white seaplane taxied to the floating platform. Marina's breath caught. Inside the cockpit sat Luca Morty, her ex-fiancé, jet black hair, playful grin, the man she left at the altar 3 years ago. His arrival here was no coincidence. Luca hopped down, arms wide. "Marina." What a surprise. His eyes sparkled, not with warmth but calculation. Marina's stomach twisted. She forced a polite smile. "Luca, fancy seeing you." Drake studied Luca warily. "Mr. Morty." His tone was polite, but steel laced his words. Luca nodded. "Alexander, good to meet you. I've heard about your green project." He turned to Marina. "I figured you'd want to catch up." Memories crashed. Luca's laughter in sunlit vineyards, the cold moment she said no at the altar rehearsal. She'd chosen her dreams over his expectations. "Why are you here?" Marina's tone sharpened. Luca's smile faltered. "My development firm's looking to branch into eco-retreats. I thought, why not team up?" Drake's brow lifted. "Interesting proposal." Marina's pulse raced. Luca's offer threatened her bond with Drake. She squared her shoulders. I'm committed to this project with Mr. Drake. Luca's gaze flicked to Drake, then back to Marina. Of course, but I hope you'll at least consider my pitch. He handed her a brochure embossed with his firm's logo. As Luca strode to the seaplane, Drake closed the hatch. The slamming door echoed between Marina and him. Drake's eyes narrowed. Does he still have leverage over you? Marina met his gaze, unflinching. His leverage ended when I walked away. Drake's jaw clenched. Good, because here I need someone focused. Marina inhaled, heart hammering. Luca's return had stirred old doubts. Could ambition and love truly coexist? What will Marina choose when past and future collide? By noon, the Sovereign Dawn's salon transformed into a makeshift press room. Journalists lined up, cameras whirring. Drake stood at a podium flanked by lush vertical garden samples. Marina arranged her notes in the front row. Vivienne Drake, video linked behind him, cleared her throat. Reporters snapped questions. Is this partnership purely PR? How do you address environmental concerns? A sharp voice cut through. Miss Holt, how do you respond to criticisms that big corporations greenwash their image? Marina rose, pulse steady. Greenwashing only exists when integrity is absent. My work is built on transparency. Fair wages, sustainable materials, scientific data. Her words rang clear. As cameras pulsed, Drake watched, pride flickering in his eyes. Vivienne's lips twitched, surprise, maybe respect. Then a reporter brandished Luca's brochure. Mr. Drake, will you be collaborating with Mr. Morty's firm instead? Gasps. Marina's throat tightened. She locked eyes with Drake. He regained composure. My focus is on results. Bloomright has proven themselves at sea. I have full confidence in Marina's vision. Vivienne's screen blinked off. A stunned hush fell. One journalist leaned forward. So, no Mr. Morty? Drake offered a curt smile. No. Flashes popped as Marina exhaled. She met Drake's gaze, victorious and something tender. The podium cleared. Drake descended the steps. Reporters parted like waves. He approached Marina, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. You were brilliant. She dared a smile. We were. But through the porthole, Luca's seaplane lifted off, his silhouette shrinking against the sky. Will the press storm subside or fuel a new tempest? What would you do in Marina's shoes? Comment below. That evening, Drake led Marina to the yacht's bow, where a lone violinist played a haunting melody. Candles floated in lanterns along the deck rails, illuminating a single white rose atop a velvet cushion. Drake extended his hand. May I? Marina accepted, heart fluttering. He lifted the rose and tucked it behind her ear, her breath caught. He dropped to one knee, revealing a simple diamond ring. Candlelight caught the facets like dawn on water. Marina's eyes brimmed. Marina Holt, Drake began, voice wavering. I'm ocean-weary no more. You've anchored me, your passion, your resilience. Will you join me, not just as partner in business, but in life? Tears shimmered on Marina's lashes. She placed a hand over her heart. Yes, she whispered. Guests emerged from the shadows. Emma, Drake's closest advisors, even a smiling Vivienne. Applause bloomed like fireflies. Drake swept Marina into his arms. The violin soared. Beneath the candle-lit sky, they shared their first kiss, tender, triumphant, real. But as waves lapped, a distant horn sounded, another yacht's arrival. Who has come to witness this moment or to challenge it? Months later, Marina and Drake stood before a crowd at the inaugural opening of Bloom Isles, a floating urban garden campus. Children planted seeds, elders sipped herbal tea under living canopies. A bronze plaque read, "In partnership and passion, Marina and Alexander for a greener tomorrow." Reporters snapped photos as Drake lifted a watering can, handing it to Marina for the ceremonial first pour. Water cascaded and a cheer rippled through the audience. Emma hugged Marina from behind. Look at this, your dream alive. Marina scanned the horizon, sleek yachts, cargo ships, and beyond, endless blue. She squeezed Drake's hand. Drake whispered, "This is just the beginning." But storm clouds gathered on the distant horizon, a reminder that every calm invites a new challenge. What adventures lie beyond the garden's gates? Thank you for joining tonight's voyage of love, ambition, and rebirth on the high seas. If you felt Marina's triumphs and Drake's vulnerabilities, hit like, share this story, and subscribe for the next emotional roller coaster. Where will destiny steer our next tale? Leave your predictions in the comments. And until then, may your heart stay anchored in hope. Thanks for joining. Like, share, and subscribe for the next emotional roller coaster.